Hi there, I'm Sue Resig, and we haven't had a new recipe in a while, and I'm finally going to share with you my favorite new soup. And this soup is called, oh, I don't have a name for it, I'm working on that, but it's a chickenless noodle soup. It tastes like chicken noodle soup without chicken and without noodles, but it's really good, and I've had it like 3 times now, and I've decided I have it to the point where you'll enjoy it too. So, to start with, I've got all my work done ahead of time, but I'll show you what I've put in. I have 1 small onion diced up, or a half of a large onion. I have a carrot that's grated. I've got my veggies in order here, and I used 2 stalks of celery, and the celery I used was washed. I know this isn't, but I didn't wash it because I'm not using that yet. So we have onion, celery, carrot grated, and I will be using some summer squash and zucchini, but we're not quite ready for that. What I do to start the soup is I start with a quart. Now there's 2 ways to make this. You can start with a quart of Hippocrates soup. If you don't have any of the awesome sauce made up, you'll use a quart of soup, okay? If you have awesome sauce on hand and you've made that, you're going to use 3 cups of Hippocrates soup and 1 cup of awesome sauce. If you haven't made the awesome sauce yet, this is not one of the required foods in Gerson, but for me it has become essential because it adds flavor to so many things that I cook. I just absolutely love it, and I find a little cup here and a little cup there, or mixing it into things, it's just giving them so much more flavor, and it helps me be happier to have that extra flavor. So to start our soup, I am going to make it with the awesome sauce. But if you don't have that, remember, 1 quart of the Hippocrates soup. So I'm going to use 3 cups right now. And now, you know how the soup will separate out? I like to use the thinner sauce, or the thinner soup, while I'm making this other soup. So I'm not going to shake it up. I'm going to just use the top part plus whatever comes with it. Let me see. I like the fact that I can read how much is still left in my jar. Okay, I have a cup left, so that means I've got 3 cups in my pot. I'm going to use, that's my awesome sauce there. I'm going to use 1 cup of awesome sauce. If you want to know how to make this, I have a YouTube video right along with these other ones called Awesome Sauce. You can learn how to make it there. This is a fresh batch that I just made. Butternut squash, tomatoes, onion, garlic, rosemary, and thyme, and bay leaf. You'll get the proportions off the recipe. All right, so there's my cup of sauce. That just adds more flavor. Like I said, I've made it both ways. Both are good. I'm going to add all that onion, all the celery, all the carrot. So I could just do it this way. I don't know. I must have used big ones. It looks like it's going to be a lot of vegetables. I might add some more Hippocrates soup to that just because I like it. I like a thinner soup. You can add as much as you want to get the texture that you like. You might like your soupier, or you might like it thicker, more like a stew. That's not too bad. It's still kind of thin because of using the thinner Hippocrates soup. So you can see it's thick, but we'll see if I add a little bit more or not. Now, I am going to add my herbs now. I use both thyme and sage because those are herbs that you use typically in things like stuffing and for seasoning chicken. And this fools the palate into thinking you've got chicken in there by using the seasonings that you would use on chicken. So, that smells good. And I'm not measuring. Naughty me. I'm not measuring. I'm just going to put enough to put a little across the top there. See? And I'm going to do the same thing with the sage. We're going to play another little trick on the palate and make it think that you're putting chicken in the soup by putting in the chicken seasonings. There we go. You can see just a sprinkle. I don't know, 1/4 teaspoon. Don't put too much in because you can always add more later down the road. I tried once putting in 1.5 teaspoons and it was way too much. Start with, if you want to measure it, start with 1/2 teaspoon. Okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on the stove. I'm going to bring it to a boil, and then I'm going to turn it way down low, just like we do in Gerson, and simmer it for a good half hour to 45 minutes so everything's nice and tender in there. But just before that's done cooking, let's say if I'm going to simmer that for 45 minutes, then at 35 minutes, I'm going to open the pot and I'm going to add my noodles. Now here's the noodles we're going to use. I got this nifty little cutter at the farmer's market. I'm not sure what you're going to use. Maybe you have one of those spiralizers. Maybe you're just handy with a knife. Maybe you're just not going to worry about making noodles. I don't know. But I love using the summer squash to make noodles because they even look like the noodles in chicken noodle. Remember as a kid growing up, if we had chicken noodle soup, the noodles would turn a little bit yellow from being in there with the chicken fat. Look at that. They look just like it. I love it. And when I eat the soup, I can slurp that noodle up just like I'm a kid. Can you tell I have fun with this? I think it's great. I love the cutter. I love the soup. And I love having noodles to slurp on. I'm going to have a little fun with my soup. You can tell, see how many times I've made soup because I keep cutting noodles off the same one here. Of course, it's probably not going to work so well once I get to the inside where the seeds are, so I'm just doing what I can with it. There we go. Ah, one more. I like lots of noodles. Okay. And you can do this also with a zucchini. You can also, look how long we could make those noodles. And they work just fine, but they're a little different color. And they taste just a little different, and I find I like the summer squash better. But you know what? If you don't have summer squash to get, then you can use zucchini. The summer squash doesn't get as soft. They don't fall apart. The zucchini can fall apart a little easier too. And I'm going to leave my noodles, how long? I guess I'll cut it into thirds. So they're about 2 inches long. I wanted to try one other thing. I thought, you know, not everybody's going to have this handy dandy little thing, and I don't even know what it's called, so I'm afraid I can't help you out. But let's get creative. Let's see if we can cut these kinds of noodles on the grater. If we were to hold our grater like this and hold our summer squash upright, what happens if we grate vertically down and just pull it along the side? Can we get a long noodle? Let's find out. Oh, well, look at that. It does work. Yay. So they're not quite as nice and neat as the noodles off my, oh, well, that's why we got into the seeds. Let's try this side. Nice. They're not quite as nice and neat, but you could get a noodle if you don't have a handy dandy cutter. And I'm just running it down vertically. So you're getting a long cut. There you go. All right. I'm glad I could figure. I was thinking about that, and I was hoping I could come up with something for you to use. And that do the same thing with your zucchini. You're just going to go down vertically with that. It's a little tricky. If you're not feeling good that day, find someone else who has it, who can do it for you. Oh, wonderful. There's some noodles. Okay, we've solved that equation. So, soup's ready to go on. I'm going to get it cooking, and when I'm ready to put the noodles in, we'll come back and I'll show you. See ya. Well, it's actually been more than 35 minutes. It's probably been 45 minutes since I put this on to cook, but it's not going to hurt. And it's still, see, it's just very gently simmering. Very nice. And I'm going to add my noodles now. Yum! I love noodles. Lots of noodles. There. Yum, yum, yum. And I'll let those simmer about 10 minutes. And they hold up pretty well. There's, since you're not cooking them in water and you're cooking them in this enhanced broth, they don't seem to cook down the same. They don't get all mushy, which is nice. They retain their shape and texture a little bit. So we'll just put that in. boost the heat a little bit, and I'm going to set my timer for 10 minutes. I don't want them to get away from me. I'm eating my dinner in the other room and I'll forget. So that's it. We'll see you in 10 minutes. Oh, it's soup already. So I put the noodles in for 10 minutes and they cooked and they were done, and I served myself a bowl. I let it cool off a little bit before I could eat it, but look at those noodles. I love the fact that I can slurp on those noodles. And it tastes very good. It's the closest thing we'll get to chicken soup without the chicken. All right. Hope you enjoy it. Thank you.